Hello and welcome back to Living in the Jacket. I'm your host, Carlene Gilliam, and today we have a very special guest. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey y'all, my name is Sophie Arrington, and I'm a recently graduated senior from the Greene County FFA chapter in South Mississippi, and I'm so honored to be on the Living in the Jacket podcast today.
Yay! We're so happy to have you. Our, third call-in guest, I think. So we're on a streak of call-ins. Just going all over America. But yeah, so we're so happy to have you. And so we're going to go into our first question, just overall basis. What is your FFA story?
So my FFA story is quite long, so I'm going to try to summarize it for y'all. But my FFA story started during my first week of high school. I grew up on a small family beef cow, cow-calf operation farm. And right before my 8th grade year, my grandparents ended up having to sell the livestock due to my parents' divorce and COVID and some other things. So we're not able to keep it up. I was devastated because, anybody who knows me knows that I love cows. And I wanted to rebuild the farm and help manage. However, I did not know how to do so. After that, I was going through a lot of changes in my life, going to high school, starting at a new school. And I thought I was going to continue to play basketball and softball for high school. And unfortunately, I had to quit those sports right before school. I was going through a lot at the time. And after summer ended, I started my first day of high school. I was looking at my schedule, and I saw it was completely messed up. The counselor accidentally put my last class at softball, and I had to go up to her and tell her, hey, I'm not doing this no more. And we had to talk it out, and she was changing it. I just missed half of my classes just for get my schedule changed and everything. And she was changing my classes, and she looked up on her computer, and she looked at me saying, I think you will like this class. So she printed out my new schedule and handed it to me, and my last class was now changed to Principles of Agri-Science. Now, before going to the high school, I knew we had a FFA and ag program. However, I did not know about the FFA part. I knew we had an ag program, and I wanted to join it because I really wanted to start selling cows, and I really wanted to learn how to rebuild my family's farm. So she printed out a schedule, and now our school is a pretty cool. We have a pretty cool ag program. We have a show operation on our school farm, and any student in ag can show one of our cows at the farm. So sometime during the first couple of weeks of ag class, my ag teacher, Mr. Josh, asked the class who wanted to show cows, and I don't think I've raised my hand that fast before in my life. Now, my teacher at the time, he was so confused because this shy freshman barely could talk in class, but she wanted to be involved in FFA and showing cows. However, he did not discourage me, not one bit, but motivate me to do so. And so I came home to my grandparents. I was like, hey, I want to show cows. And they were like, girl, we just sold our cows 3 months ago. What do you mean you want to show cows? I'm like, I'm being serious. My teacher will help me and everything. I want to start showing cows. So they brought me 2 show heifers that week who have never had a halter on them. They're not halter broke or nothing. And my first show was at State Fair in Jackson, Mississippi 2 weeks later. And so my first show was literal blood, sweat, and tears. And yes. And I was so happy that I placed second in my class. And this is a funny story because there was only 2 of us in our class. But without all the struggles and everything, what made me want to stay was my teacher and my friends, my new friends I made in FFA, and just everyone who surrounded me. They motivate me to do more and to get out of my comfort zone. And what drew me to the FFA part was I was in class one day, and Mr. Josh, my ag teacher, he kind of told me to do dairy judging. He was like, hey, we're going to Starkville, and we're going to do a dairy judging trip. It's going to be fun. Just come on. And, I wanted to go because Mississippi State University, that's my dream school. I love Mississippi State. Going there is like go to Disney World for me because I just love everything about the campus. And so I went, and the night before the competition, I was with my best friend. My best friend is actually my advisor's daughter. And she was reading this piece of paper and just trying to study it and everything. And I was like, what are you reading? And she's like, oh, I'm going over my reasons. And I was like, well, what are reasons? You should see the face that she made when she realized our team was cooked. Because she was like, what do you mean, what are reasons? And it comes to find out, my teacher did not tell me what reasons were because he thought, at the time I was so shy, he thought that I would not go on the ship. to talk in front of a judge. So I've done the contest. It was scary at first, but then again, what made me fall in love with this organization was the people that saw me and wanted to help me grow myself and wanted, who encouraged me. And at the time, my freshman year, I went into my FFA chapter. Our FFA chapter was devastated by COVID. We had a low membership. We only had like 7 active FFA members, and now at the end of my senior year, we have over 70. So we've done a lot of recruiting. I really wanted to grow in this organization and get our chapters on as well as my friend did. And, that's kind of how my FFA story went. I just fell in love with this organization, and since my first competitions, I started signing myself up for those competitions and signing myself up for every single FFA event our chapter went to. And then I applied for the FFA USA program. I got selected as a reporter this year, and that sparked my love for AgCom. And yeah, I've
Yeah,
been doing FFA ever since.
that's great. And you have such a detailed and like long story, but there's so many lessons I feel that can be taken from that. And
Oh
so
yeah,
like especially
absolutely.
from like showing cattle first thing, like
Mhm.
because you had experience with it, but you had like it was kind of like an open wound for you to get right back into cattle after all of that happened.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm so glad you had that opportunity. And our school, we also have a school farm, so I relate so much to that
Oh yeah.
because I'm able to show
Mhm.
because of my school farm. So I'm glad to hear that other schools also have that opportunity to show animals, even if like they may not have the space to do it.
Absolutely. I think that should be applied to every school. Everybody have a chance, have an opportunity to show, because I think showing really gets people out of their comfort zone and really teaches them responsibility.
Oh yeah. I just like love working with animals. I don't know, like it's just something about it.
Yes.
And then you said your first ag class was agriculture principles?
It was principles of agri-science. So our school kind of does it differently. Here in Mississippi, I think like every school does it like their own like classes differently. Like our first class is principles of agri-science, and then after that you move into animal science, and then we have vet science, and then our last class is capstone, which is kind of like working with a greenhouse and stuff.
Gotcha. So yeah, we don't like have any of that.
Really?
we start at
Yeah.
small animals. Like we don't have any baseline, just principles. Like we start at small animals and then we go up from there. So that's so interesting to see. I would love to have a principles of agriculture class. That would be so cool. But and then so kind of going off of that, how has FFA impacted you? I know we kind of got into that, but like what else
Yeah.
has like it gone like after you graduated and all that?
Absolutely. Um, like you said, FFA has impacted me in many ways. It's taught me many valuable skills and lessons. That I will forever hang on to even after the jacket. FFA has given me a family and allowed me a place to explore in agriculture industry, which I found my passion for agriculture communications and agriculture education. And FFA just really taught me how to carry myself through situations that used to intimidate me, like public speaking, and I had social anxiety. But more importantly, I realized something I didn't before, which was I did not need to be the loudest in the room. I just needed to have faith and step into it. And so, like everybody has given me how to taught me how to be confident in myself and to share my stories and be the person to listen to others and are there for them and to encourage them and give them an opportunity to amplify their voices through doing what I love as communication.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm a very quiet person. Like I don't like to be the center of
Yeah.
attention. I don't like to be loud because like I get embarrassed really quick too. So
Oh
I
yeah.
I try to stay away from that. So that's great to hear like
Mhm.
another person who's like that but has done so much and who's also in the ad communications field. Like to express your love for FFA and like how it's impacted you, even though like you're a quiet person in the background, because I feel like often we sometimes hear the loud ones, but hearing the quiet ones I feel like are just as impactful, if not more sometimes.
Absolutely. I could not agree with that more. I think, agriculture is strongest when every voice is heard, and I think everybody should be able to have an opportunity to speak their opinions and, not only listen to the loud ones, but listen to those in the background as well.
Yeah. And then so
Mm.
going into the communications, because you're very
Yeah.
present in that. Why did you start Sow and Serve? Is that how you say it?
Yeah. It's Sow and Serve.
Sow and Serve. I
No,
was like,
like, yeah. Oh, no, no. No, everybody gets that so wrong too. It's fine.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody gets that wrong. But Sow and Serve is an ag advocacy social media platform and podcast, which I host and produce. I started Sow and Serve the beginning of my senior year because as an upperclassman, I saw many members who were unsure if they wanted to join, and I wanted to show others how impactful this organization is. And a lot of people, they think, oh, FFA, like, y'all go outside with, all y'all do in class is y'all go outside and play with the cows. Like, there's so much more. Like, when we go on these trips, I wanted to show people that there's more to it and how important this industry is and how impactful this organization is. And also going to FFA events and having the honor to be an FFA and USA reporter, writing articles for National FFA, and working alongside ag teachers and members across the state and nationwide. I got to talk with many teachers in chapters around the statewide and saw how unnoticed their service goes and how much they do for their community. I think part of students' work, however, like a lot of their stuff goes unnoticed. And I want to start a podcast. However, at the time, like, I was unsure how this would work because like I had no experience in editing and filming and everything beforehand. So I began to do quick interviews at state conventions or at cow shows. I had like a tiny little microphone I got online just for a couple of dollars, and I would go around and ask people like a simple question like, "What is your favorite part about showing?" or "What is the national FFA colors?" Just like a fun little TikTok video, and like people would respond to these. Like it would get like a lot of views. That's something I would want people to do. I want people to get more engaged with each other and get more comfortable in this organization. And I started doing these kind of interviews with members through these kind of microphones. And one day I was at the state fair and I ran into our state commissioner of agriculture and commerce, Mr. Andy Gibson, and I quickly took my moment to interview him for a quick little TikTok. It was 2 minutes long, but I was like so nervous because I did not want to give away this moment, but I did not know what I would ask him because it was like I saw him and I ran up to him, but before I told my friend who had the camera to record, I said quick her, and then I introduced him. So it went well, and the questions and like responses kind of went smoothly for me, and that kind of sparked my confidence in doing the podcast. And how like I started this podcast is like it's a funny story because I started this podcast and I wanted to, film a podcast with a chapter officers, but we was just too silly and I could not take them serious. I was like, I've got to interview somebody else. Like y'all are just being too silly for me. And so I was scrolling through Instagram one day at lunch and I saw another FFA and USA reporter from California who interviewed all the national officers. And I thought that would be really cool. And so I looked up who was our national Southern Region Vice President since I'm from Mississippi, and I saw it was T. Wayne. So I messaged him one day on Instagram, thinking I would get no response. And on the Saturday, he messaged me back and was like, he was all in for his podcast, and he's like, well, can we do it Wednesday? Well, Saturday, I had no podcast. I had no idea how to even film or how to hold a conversation and interview people for like more than 2 minutes. So I was doing a lot of researching, and like I was researching and getting inspiration from other podcasts and magazines. And then I took that moment Wednesday. I filmed our first episode, and I had the honor to write an article about him, one of his first articles on National FFA, and that just sparked my love for sharing other stories, and that's how my podcast began. And since that, I had members from across the nation reached out to me wanting to share their story, and just nothing is more rewarding than to get a message to me about how happy and emotional it is to share their story and being an advocate for what they love.
Yeah, I love that. And from like it being like a small 2-minute interview to growing into like interviewing a national officer and to getting to such like a high place. Like that's such a big difference, but you can see the work and dedication you have put in through. And like I love your page. I love looking at it, like just the
So thank
support.
you.
Of course. Like the support that you give other members is just so great to see. And you're just like someone who like I can tell just loves to give support and cares, and like I that just it's so happy to see that.
You are so sweet. I love your page. I love like looking at your the national days, like National Ice Cream Day, like the post that you make.
Oh, yes. Oh, I remember those.
Yeah, I love it.
Thank you. Well, kind of also coming from like your beginnings especially, is there any advice you would give an FA member looking to do ad communications?
Yeah. Any advice I would give to an FFA member who is interested in starting in ad communications is to simply just take that bold step into making an opportunity where they are. You don't have to have like everything to succeed or to start. Like for me, I had no idea how to create content, but I took that step of faith and stood strong during the times where it was challenging, and I held on to why I had this goal in the first place. And that's what I want others to tune into as well. You know, your plans you have in mind are not going to go just as you have them. And I say this all the time: God's plan is greater than my plan. There's going to be ups and downs. However, don't dwell like on the setbacks, and just see those setbacks, but push yourself forward and think positively, and find out blessings within the hard times, and just to always remember your why and why you wanted to start this in the first place.
Yeah. And there's always going to be people who support you and you can also lean on. I feel there's like so many people that like supported me through it, and then like I could ask them like I need help, or like
Mm.
is there an idea even? Like I have so many like brain slumps where I'm like, what idea should I do next? So like even just asking
Yeah.
someone like, "Hey, what do you think I should do?" Like I feel that really helps.
Mm. Yes, and that's my favorite part about this organization, about how welcoming everybody is and how supportive they are.
Yeah. I always say
Mm.
it's like if you've heard past episodes, like I always say FFA's a big
Yeah,
family.
yes,
And
it
like
really is.
especially doing podcasts, and I'm sure you found doing yours, like it really
Mm.
is, it stretches all over America and into other countries, honestly. And it's just so great to
Mm.
see how big it is.
Yes, absolutely.
And then so you mentioned that you recently graduated. So
Mm.
what are your plans for after high school? Like what are you gonna do for college? Anything like that?
Yes, so I actually got my high school diploma in May, but I've been graduated since December, and I've been going to Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College full time since January. So I will be continuing my education there until next May, and then will transfer to Mississippi State University, majoring in agriculture education and minoring in ag communications. Now, this shocks a lot of people. Like, I love my ag communications and everything, and I plan to work in ag communications and continue my podcast, and hopefully, in turn, alongside national or state FFA or even local ag businesses within my time in college and during the summers. However, when I do graduate in 3 years, I want to become an ag teacher and be that motivator. And like we said before, our supporters have people supported us in this organization. For me, that was my teacher and my chapter officers and my friends all over the nation. Like how they supported me, I want to be that person to students as well, and hopefully one day I can be able to work in my home chapter and be that second teacher for our school. Because at the moment we only have one ag teacher at our school, and we also have a running farm, so it's kind of hard to deal with both. But so hopefully I can be that second ag teacher. But that does not mean I'll leave my ag communications behind. I will still love to work in both in education and communication.
Yeah. And I love that you're going to be an ag teacher. I love that. because we are, as like every FFA student knows, we are so low on ag teachers,
Oh yeah.
and they really shape each FFA member into who they are. They're like their first cheerleader,
Mhm.
honestly, I feel. So to see that you want to be part of that is so amazing, and like I'm so grateful to hear that, because it's carrying on like a legacy, a generation of people who've come before, and now you want to carry that onto your students. So I wish you all the best of luck. I know you're going to do great,
Mhm.
and I just can't wait to see, because I'm sure you'll be posting about it.
Oh yeah.
I can't
Yes.
I can't wait to see that.
Well, thank you.
Of course. And then so into our last question, just kind of going off of our title of our podcast, what does living in the
Mhm.
jacket mean to you?
Yes. And by the way, I love the name of your podcast. I think it's so cool.
Thank you. I love yours. I
Yeah.
think it's so unique.
um, to me, living in the jacket means to wear it out. And this is part of my retiring address I gave for my chapter banquet. But this year, I gave my address was talking about wearing out your FFA jacket. And go back to that story to my first ever FFA contest, dairy judging. I did not have a jacket, so I had to go to our ad closet, which is full of a bunch of like old FFA jackets donated to our chapter. And I got stuck with wearing a old FFA jacket, and it was not national blue and cool and gold. It was like a dusty purple and like a really orange.
Oh no.
And on the left hand side, it said Josh Everett, which is my ag teacher.
Mm-hmm.
But as I was going through my time, I now have my own national blue and corn gold FFA jacket with my own name on the left hand side. And as I looked at that first jacket, I realized that's what it's all about, wearing out your jacket. Because your time in the blue jacket is short. So wear it out, make those memories, take those chances, and make your own opportunities. And grow and serve, because one day you'll hang up this jacket and like I hope it's not bright blue. I hope it's worn out and filled with memories that shape you into who you are today. Because it's not about how perfect your journey is, but how much of it you live.
Yeah.
So
I
living in the jacket to me is to wear it out.
Yeah. That is so, it's simple, but it means so much to FFA members, because
Yeah.
we realize what that means, especially when we're hanging it up for the last time. And
Yeah.
that's just great to hear. And it really does impact you in a way that when you're not an FFA member, you don't see it or like feel it as much, but when you are, it really does.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
I honestly, I love
Absolutely.
that so much. So yeah, wear it out. And
Yeah.
then, so as we're wrapping up our episode, is there anything else you would like to say, a message, anything like that?
I would say just have time for all the FFA members listening to this and tuning in. Just like I just said, wear out your jacket and take those chances and take those opportunities within this organization.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I fully support that. That's such a good message, and I hope all of you follow that, because it really does. Your time in FFA is so short, but it really does shape who you are in your future and sets you up for such a long road of success.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And so you have Sow and Serve. You have your social media plugs, anything like that?
Oh yeah. Um, so full episodes are on YouTube and Spotify under you can search up Sow and Serve, and then my Instagram is Sow and Serve underscore Sophie Sophey. My name is spelled kind of weird, but that's my Instagram, and also on TikTok. I post episode clips as well.
Yeah. And I know I follow the Instagram. I'll have
Mm-hmm.
to go look at the TikTok.
Oh yeah.
I'll have to venture off later. But so thank you so much, Sophie, for coming on. I was
Absolutely.
so glad to have you.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
It's an honor.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
Of course. I'm so glad. I love hearing stories from other states and to hear what your people's FFA stories were like, especially from other states, because
Mm.
it's so different from Virginia or like Alaska from Liam. So,
Oh yes, yes. It's so diverse, but it's it's like every state is so diverse, but like the jacket just brings us all together. Like you just said, like everybody is a big family.
mhm. So thank you so much, Sophie, for coming on. So glad to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So that'll wrap up our episode for this month. Thank you so much for listening. Go follow Sophie on all of her social media, Instagram, TikTok, and we'll see you for the next one. Bye.